Hey everyone, today I wanted to do a video on our December unit study for my 4th grader and my 7th grader. And it is going to be about Christmas cookies or Christmas baking. So I wanted to do something fun in December where there could be some learning, but also was, holiday themed. And it started with seeing this book I was scrolling Instagram, and I think the post that I saw was like putting together like a holiday gift basket or something, and this book was the main component. And I was like, oh, that book looks so cool. This is kind of where it started. So this is a cookie advent cookbook with 24 festive recipes, and there are little flaps here, and there's a different cookie for each day, and then the recipe for that particular cookie is in the book. So the one for this one that I opened, which is the first one, is this cookie right here. And yeah, I thought this was just a really fun idea. Now, I don't know that we're gonna actually bake a cookie every single day in December, although if my kids want to, I guess they could, but I will not be baking a cookie every day in December. But this was kind of my jumping off point. So I thought this was a really fun book. I grabbed it and I kind of built the lesson plan around this book. And then this book, and then the next 2 books I'm about to show you. I thought I would focus on Christmas, the history of Christmas baking. And so I found this book called The Secret History of Christmas Baking, Recipes and Stories from Tomb Offerings to Gingerbread Boys. Now, this book is not for children. I mean, it's written for adults. I have not read the whole thing yet, but so far I've only come across one sentence that I probably would not read to my kids. But this, I mean, it's definitely not for younger kids, and I'm still debating whether I'm going to read this whole thing to my kids or if I'm just going to read some sections from it. But it's really interesting, like I'm enjoying it. I'll read you the back so that you can have an idea of what it's about. It says, spice up your season by rolling, molding, and kneading your way through some of the world's most iconic Christmas recipes, interspersed with tales of sailors, saints, tomb raiders, and artisans. The secret history of Christmas baking proves that even the humblest holiday treat has a global backstory. Then it says, did you know that ancient Egyptians had their own version of gingerbread, or that marzipan was once considered a pharmaceutical? This author dispels some long-standing culinary myths and delves into the darker chapters of the West's centuries-long romance with sugar and spices. And then there's recipes and things interspersed. So if this were available in audiobook, I think we would absolutely do it. It's just a lot of reading. So I'm not positive, but I'm still reading this whole book. And for sure, I think we will read this chapter here, which goes into gingerbread. And there are some recipes as well. But I think the book's really interesting so far. I'm enjoying it. I wish they made like a young reader's version of it, but they don't. So we will be using at least part of this for our unit. And then the other book that I found was this one, which is not about Christmas at all, but it's called The Universe Explained with a Cookie. And it is what baking cookies can teach us about quantum mechanics, cosmology, evolution, chaos, complexity, and more. Also, this is not a book written for children. However, if you have older children or children who are maybe excel in science, I think that this could be really good. I've read a few chapters so far, and I think it's really cool. Now, again, I haven't figured out I don't think this is now going to be a main component of our unit study, but this is kind of where it started. And now I'm gonna lay out for you what we're actually going to do. Now we have 3 weeks in December that we can do this in. And typically we do this type of unit study just on Fridays. All right, so I have those 3 books that I showed you, and then I have a pile of other ones and some things that I got from Teachers Pay Teachers. So I basically have 3 like Friday activities, and then an overarching kind of project that we're going to be working on throughout. So the overarching project that we're going to be working on throughout is a cookie exchange, planning a cookie exchange, and I have two packs that I bought from Teachers Pay Teachers, and there's things I like about both of them, so we will be using some bits and pieces from both. But the first is called Plan a Cookie Exchange, the design process, ask, imagine, plan, create, and improve. And so they are going to be working together to plan an actual cookie exchange. And this gives kind of a little bit of history of cookie exchanges, which I like, and some possible rules that you need to consider. And then just scheduling it, making your plan. There's some cookie exchange math. Figuring out what prizes you might offer, conversation starters for your party, a little like making a little pamphlet for your party. And I think that's all that we're going to use from that one. The other one is this project-based learning holiday cookie exchange. And again, this one has created an invitation that I think we might use. And then they have, they give you some recipes, and they have some activities in here where you're figuring out how much you're going to need of all the ingredients if you bake all the recipes, and figuring out like cost at the grocery store and things like that. So I liked that addition to this pack. So that's why I have two. I'm going to use pieces from both of them. Where am I here? Oh yes, this is the cookie exchange. I also have, whenever I can, I like to add in a picture book. And even though my kids are 9 and 11, I still like picture books. So I found this one called The Great Holiday Cookie Swap, and I think this will fit nicely to kind of kick off the unit. It says the swap starts off innocently enough. Once the bakers leave their cookies unattended, though, all chocolate bits are off. The cookies declare that their foes' holidays are numbered, swapping Christmas cheer for Christmas fear as they compete for the position of top cookie. Hopefully, they will remember that the holidays are about peace on earth, not ripping each other to pieces before it's too late. Anyway, it's cute. And then there are some recipes in this one as well in the back. So we'll use that to kind of cook off this unit. And then this will likely not just happen on Fridays, but we'll see. And then I just broke down the different things that we will do as part of the unit. We'll read that book. We will work on guest list rules and invitations, party details like prizes, the logistics of it, entertainment, then our cookie planning and shopping math, and our baking cookies. So that's the cookie exchange component, which I'm really excited about. And then we'll go into what I know for sure we'll be doing just on Fridays. So gingerbread is one of them. And the chapter in here that I mentioned on the history of gingerbread, I also grabbed this book because I wasn't sure if I was going to use this one. This Christmas Past, the Fascinating Stories Behind Our Favorite Holidays Traditions. This also has a chapter on gingerbread. So I likely won't read them both. This one is much shorter though, so I wanted options. So we will read about the history of gingerbread. And then I have this picture book called Gingerbread for Liberty, How a German Baker Helped Win the American Revolution. And I thought this would be a fun tie-in to gingerbread. And one of the book, they made both, but I know this book for sure talks about this German baker, Christopher Ludwig. So I thought that would be a good tie-in. And then we will bake the gingerbread cookies from well, we can use, there's multiple recipes throughout those 3 books, but there also is one in this book. So likely we will make the one from here, and I believe they are gingerbread reindeer. Let's see, yeah. Okay, so that's gingerbread. Next we have chemistry, because I have a chemistry loving kiddo. So for that one, we are going to use this pack that I got off Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's based around the TED Ed video, which is not Christmas themed at all, but it is called The Chemistry of Cooking. And then there are questions in here that you can answer. And the last question talks about how people who have allergies to certain foods or choose not to eat certain foods, how you would maybe need to alter a recipe for that. It talks about how some people can't have eggs, others can't have dairy products or sugar or whatever else. And then it just asks you to think about kind of how you might replace certain ingredients or research to find out a little bit more. So we are going to kind of expand on that. I ordered a book from Amazon, but it's not here yet, so I don't know if it's going to work. I may have to return it, but it's called Mrs. Claus is an Allergy-Friendly Baking Boss. And it's a picture book, and there's like an allergy-free sugar cookie recipe in it, and so I'm hoping that that book is good, because then we're going to read that and then take that sugar cookie, idea of the sugar cookie, and I have, I don't know where I put it. We have 4 friends or family members that have either food allergies or dietary restrictions. So we have one that's vegan, we have one that's no sugar, we have one that is gluten-free, and I forget what the other one is. We have 4. So we're gonna just do a little game where we kind of randomly pick one of those people and their dietary needs, and we're gonna see if we can alter a recipe and have it turn out for them. So they will have to do a little bit of research to, figure out how to make that work, and then we will make just probably a standard sugar cookie recipe to start as their kind of jumping off point. And then they will see how they can take that recipe and alter it or modify it to make it acceptable for the person whose name that they drew. I put some books on hold. Well, one book I got from the library called The Allergy Free Pantry that I thought might have some resources for them. There is I want to say there's like a snickerdoodle recipe or something close enough to a sugar cookie recipe in here that, anyway, I just thought this might be a good resource for them in researching how they can alter their recipe. And then I also just put a bunch of books on hold through Hoopla, some ebooks. So there's the food allergy baking book. Oh, this one that I already have. Allergen-free desserts, allergy-friendly food for families, and the autoimmune protocol baking book. So we have access to all of those during this project. Okay, so that is the chemistry portion, which I think my son will really like, kind of learning the science behind the different ingredients when you're baking. And then the last one I have is kind of based on cutout sugar cookies, the history of them. And I had a lot of trouble finding consistent stories on the history of sugar cookies, cutout cookies, and then as they relate to Christmas. So I have a few articles that we can read if I decide to go this route. This is A Brief History of Cookies and Cookie Decorating, and this one is The History and Culture of Christmas Cookies. But I also found a video on YouTube. There's a couple versions of it. It was a library program. I'll link a couple of them. It was the same woman, and I forget now what her name was, but she did, it may have been during like the pandemic, she did like, it looked like Zoom library programs, and they were all on like the history of the Christmas cookie. So we may just watch that to go with this section. And then we're going to read this book, which I love so much. Where did it go? Oh, it's called Tough Cookie, A Christmas Story. And this is the story of this cookie and this fox, and they're visiting the land of holiday treats. And there's this little cookie still warm from the oven, looking, sweet and delicious. And the fox is kind of chasing it, saying it looks sweet enough to eat. But then when he actually takes a bite of it, he's like, you taste awful. And as it turns out, he was not supposed to be a Christmas cookie. He was an ornament. And I love this book so much because I remember when I was younger, my mom and my sister and I made those little, they had like applesauce and cinnamon and glue, and that you could make them you use cookie cutters, and then you could make them into an ornament, or you could put them in a drawer to like make things smell good. Anyway, we made a bunch of those, and we had them on a cooling rack in the kitchen, and my dad came home from work, and he walked into the room my mom was in, and he was like chewing something, and he had a piece of something in his hand, and he said to my mom, like, "Who made those cookies in the kitchen? They are horrible," continuing to eat them. And he was eating the ornaments that we made. And my dad's known to have like a stomach of steel. Nothing makes him sick. He eats some of the grossest things that would make other people sick, and they don't make him sick. So anyway, I just have that memory. So this book, I think, is hilarious because of that. So anyway, we're going to read that. And we're going to make, from our Advent cookbook, stamped cookies, because in all the histories that I read, that was kind of in the progression of getting to cut out cookies was stamped cookies. So there are 2 different recipes in here for different stamped cookies. Oh, wait, there's a cutout cookie, but we'll probably just do our standard Christmas cutout cookies at some point. Where is it? Oh, there's this stamped cookie, and then, there's these peanut butter stamped cookies. So I did get some cookie stamps from Amazon that we can use and do those. And then we're also going to make the cutout ornaments. And I believe, let's see. Yeah, in the back here, there is, there's an actual cookie recipe, and then there's the ornament recipe as well. So I would like to do the ornaments for them, or have them do the ornaments. So, and then I also have some extras. So you can see this did not make it into my final plan here, but I still think it's really cool. And so I'm debating, do we want to do this as our evening read aloud? Do I want to have this for something just for my son to do? I don't know. You'll have to stay tuned to my December planning video to see how I use this, but this is an extra. Even though it's kind of helped kick off this unit, it didn't make it into my final choices. And then I also have this book called Cookies for Santa. I don't love it, but it does show the crinkle cookie, which is a recipe that's in here, the chocolate crinkle cookies. And so I thought, well, if I need to, I don't ever need extra stuff. I don't know why I plan extra stuff. I never need extra stuff. I always have too much. So there is a chocolate crinkle cookie in there, and that's kind of what this story is about. It's put out by America's Test Kitchen, and the kind of plot line is Santa loses his family cookbook, and he can't make the cookies that he makes every year for his family. And this little girl checked out the cookbook from the library, and they go to America's Test Kitchen. Anyway, they help Santa, and they make cookies, yada, yada. It's okay. But there is the crinkle cookie in the back there. So that's my extra. And then I also have a bunch of different cookie math sheets that I'm thinking I will likely throw in maybe just randomly on some mornings before we start our individual independent work. Let me see here if I can find them. So we've got Christmas cookie fraction problem solving. There's a few of those. And then this set as well, where there's math problems based on different recipes. So those are extras. If I need them, I can fit them in. So that is our December unit study about the Christmas cookie. If you have any questions, let me know down below.